Everybody calls The Middle a cozy show, a comfort show, the kind of thing you throw on in the background when you feel awful, just to calm down. And here's the weird part. If you really look, there's no comfort in this show at all. The parents are always worn out. There's never enough money. The house is buried in so much stuff a stranger would itch to start cleaning. Things break and nobody's in a hurry to fix them. The neighbors are either way too perfect or straight up feral. Not one episode ends with a problem getting solved, all clean and forever. And still, people describe this show with words like home, a hug, safe, like my own family. Somebody said The Middle pulled them out of a really dark time. Somebody else said they've been rewatching it on a loop for years now. So you've got this wild mismatch, a show about stress, debt, and little everyday humiliations, and it calms people down. How? Here's how. It's not the coziness that calms you. It's the recognition. The Middle doesn't show you a better version of life. It shows you regular life so accurately that it stops being scary. The Hex don't win. The Hex just make it to bedtime. Every episode, 9 years straight. And that, not the warm lighting, not the jokes, is what keeps people glued to the screen. And the more you think about the little scenes, the more it hits you. This show isn't about winning at all. It's about a family barely getting through each day and not falling apart. That's it. That's the whole plot. Over 200 episodes of We're Still Here. This is AXL Gang, and today I want to break down why the coziest sitcom of the 2010s really isn't cozy at all. And we shouldn't start with the people. We have to start with the house, because the Heck House is its own whole thing. Some people it drives nuts. Other people get a lump in their throat looking at it. There are folks who straight up say the house gives them anxiety, junk everywhere, broken stuff, ugly wallpaper. And right there, in the same comment sections, other people go, no, that's the only real home on all of TV. It doesn't look like a set. It looks like a place where people actually live. That mountain of laundry on the busted couch that nobody ever fully folds. The stuff that breaks and never gets fixed, it just turns into a running joke. And that's kind of the show's whole signature move. Something breaks and just keeps living broken. And my favorite detail? The front door. There's a whole episode about it. The door gets stuck, the family has to go in and out through the garage, and Frankie becomes obsessed with fixing it. Not the dream house repairs itself. People have said the set decorators actually bought the stuff for the Heck House at Target and Kohl's. The same regular stores where an average American family shops. Not fake middle-class looking props, literally the same towels, the same bowls, the same junk. One reporter who visited the set called the house scarily familiar. Piles of unopened mail, laundry, random board game pieces sitting on the side table. So the house wasn't pretending to look real. It was built out of real stuff, and that's why people react to it in two totally opposite ways. Some feel anxious, some feel warm, because it's the exact same house. How you feel about it depends on one thing, only how you feel about your own. And that door episode, if you think about it, isn't just a gag. While the front door doesn't work, the family walks into their own home through the back, and everybody except Frankie is fine with it. The broken thing doesn't get fixed right away. First, the broken thing becomes part of the family. That's the middle, summed up in one door. And here's the thing I didn't notice myself for the longest time. It explains why a show where everything is constantly breaking somehow feels safe. At first you think it's the jokes, or that the problems are just small. Big deal, right, an appliance broke, somebody got cut from a team, there wasn't enough money for a decent vacation. Not exactly a tragedy. And yeah, that's part of it, but the real trick is hidden deeper, and it's kind of genius. The whole show is narrated by Frankie's voiceover, and it sounds like she's telling you about something that already happened. Maybe I'm reading too much into a basic voiceover trick, but the effect really is this. An episode isn't presented as look what's happening right now, it's presented as here's what went down back then. And because of that, any disaster on screen feels like it's already been survived. If Frankie can calmly tell you about it, that means the family got through it. That means it worked out. The comfort is basically baked into the format itself before any story even starts. And on top of that, the rhythm. Year after year, the same formats come back around. The holiday episodes, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Valentine's Day, the back-to-school ones, the summer finales. I won't swear every single season has the full set, but the feeling of a calendar spinning in a loop for 9 years, that's 100% there. Same kitchen, same couch, same broken stuff. Problems in the middle don't get solved, they get lived through and left behind, and a week later the next one shows up, looking a lot like the last. An episode almost never ends in triumph. It ends with the family sitting together, and that's enough. Somebody in a comment section put it in a way that's almost creepy. The middle works like a vaccine against your own life. The scariest thing they ever show you on screen is just your own normal day, only packaged as a story that definitely has a next chapter. I don't know if the creators planned that, but honestly, it fits way too well to just wave off. Okay, now let's talk about the neighbors. Because the Donahues bring up a question fans ask all the time. Why can't the Hex stand them when the Donahues literally never do anything wrong? Nancy Donahue is the perfect neighbor. She bakes, she volunteers, she gets everything done, her kids have it together, her house is spotless, she's even nice. She genuinely helps out, and she makes you want to scream. And in those comment sections, people answer their own question. It's not hate. It's envy. The Donahues aren't enemies and they're not villains. They're just a living reminder standing right over the fence. Somebody nearby is doing adult life the right way. Every win of theirs is like a silent question aimed at the Hex. So why can't you? There's also a fan theory that behind closed doors, the Donahues are actually miserable, that the whole perfect thing is just a front. I like that theory, but I'll be real, it's not proven. The most the show ever hints is that Nancy isn't always so sweet and innocent when it comes to competing. Everything else is just us making stuff up. And the fact that we want the perfect neighbors to secretly be a mess says more about us than about them. And the show has a second extreme for neighbors too, the Glossners. A family with no rules and no breaks. They steal, they terrorize the neighborhood, the kids run around like a wild pack. Half the fans laugh at them and say every neighborhood has a family like that. The other half admits it honestly. It's funny right up until you remember you actually lived next to people like this. And the Hex are stuck right in the middle between the people who do life right and the people whose life completely fell apart. There it is again, middle. The show's own title works even at the level of one street. But here's the most interesting part. Most people have Donahues like this in their life. Not necessarily neighbors, relatives, co-workers, somebody's family on social media. And the show nailed that exact feeling where standing next to somebody else who has it all together makes your own mess suddenly show up at full size. With Mike, it gets even sharper, because here the fans are straight up at war. Half of them right, Mike is a terrible dad. Cold, silent, zero emotion, won't give his son a single kind word. The other half writes, "Are you kidding? That's literally my dad," or "That's literally me." Normally the silent sitcom dad is just a stock character, a joke about guys who can't do feelings. But Mike actually has a backstory in the show that's easy to miss. His mom died when he was a teenager, and he basically became the rock for his little brother Rusty. So from a young age, this guy lived in toughen up and carry it mode, where there was no time for talking about feelings and no example of it either. That's not an excuse. The show never even tries to let him off the hook. But it turns his silence from an empty blank into a scar. Mike loves through doing. He fixes things, he goes to work at the quarry, he gets up and drives when he has to. Barely any words. But the care is there. It's just wrapped in a package that's hard to deal with. And here's the uncomfortable, spot-on part. Mike is not a comfortable character. A guy like that is hard to live with. But he's painfully recognizable. Tons of people grew up next to a man who loves in silence and through hard work. The show doesn't say that's a good thing. It just shows you what it looks like from inside the family and why people love a guy like that anyway. Frankie, on the other hand, catches heat from the opposite direction. Fans constantly judge her as a mom. She forgets about Brick. She compares her kids, she messes up, she snaps, and half her parenting attempts fall apart mid-try. And on paper, yeah, there's stuff to point at. Now, here's the context. Frankie sells cars at Alert Motors, and she sells them badly, with the threat of getting fired always hanging over her. Then she actually does get fired, and in middle age she retrains as a dental assistant. That's not a career move, that's survival. The family is buried in credit card debt. There was a point where they didn't have enough money even for Christmas presents. And on top of all of that, her own personal motto, you do it for family. Sounds nice, but what it really means is she never gets to stop. There's an episode about their floating anniversary, the wedding anniversary Mike and Frankie keep pushing off because regular life always comes first. And there's a moment in it that's funny, right up until you see yourself in it. Frankie hides in the bathroom at work for like 15 minutes, just to be alone. Her idea of a break looks like running away. And after that, the whole is she a good mom or a bad mom argument kind of deflates. Frankie is a mom who never has any energy in reserve. Her failures are what invisible housework looks like when it collapses in front of everybody. Comment sections are full of people saying, I completely get Frankie. Not, she's right. I get her. That's a huge difference. The show doesn't defend her and it doesn't trash her. It just honestly shows you what love turns into when it's stretched thin across 2 jobs, 3 kids, and a mountain of laundry. With Sue, it's the total opposite. And that might make her the most divisive character in the whole show. People either adore her or can't stand her. In the comments under clips, you constantly see, she's annoying, she's over the top. Nobody's actually like that. And right next to it, other people. No, I knew teenagers exactly like that. I was that kid myself. Sue loses at everything. Tryouts, contests, teams she gets cut, forgotten, her name gets mixed up. By every rule of sitcoms, she should be a walking punchline. But the show doesn't actually laugh at her. It laughs next to her. Because Sue does something almost nobody can pull off. She turns getting humiliated into a routine. She fails, she cries a little, she smiles, she goes to the next tryout. No irony, no armor, none of that whatever, I didn't even care stuff. And if you think about it, the split between I love Sue and Sue drives me crazy comes down to one thing: how much you can handle somebody else being that sincere. Sue refuses to turn cynical in a world where cynicism is a shield. For some people, that's healing. For others, it's irritating because it reminds them of something they crushed in themselves a long time ago. And right next to Sue, almost always, is Brad, her best friend. Fans call their friendship one of the warmest things in the whole show. Some people get moved to tears by the scene where Brad opens up, and Sue reacts with no drama and no big show, just with care. And that's part of the bigger picture too. Home in the middle doesn't stop at blood relatives. Sometimes home is a person who just stays by your side through all your school years. By the way, there's one more thing about the heck kids that fans have been arguing about for years. Is Brick autistic? The whispering and repeating words under his breath, books instead of people, the required sessions with the school counselor. A lot of people call him one of the most honest, weird kids on TV. But it's important to say this straight. The show never gives him a diagnosis. All of that is a fan reading. The behavior is there on screen, but there's no label. And maybe that's exactly why Brick works. He's not the character with a diagnosis. He's just a weird kid, the kind real families are full of. And now for the quietest and, to me, the saddest moment in all of this. Bob, Frankie's co-worker from the car dealership. On paper, he's a comic relief character, a clingy, lonely weirdo who's always trying to worm his way into the Heck's life. In that same floating anniversary episode, Bob goes on this whole speech about how free he is. No wife, no kids, no responsibilities, just living the good life. And right in the middle of that speech, he breaks down and cries, right there in the car. The joke is over. What's left is the truth. Fans write about Bob with surprising tenderness. He deserved better. He wanted so badly to be part of a family. And it gets to you, because Bob in this show is like the answer to a question nobody ever asked out loud. What would happen to any one of the Hecks without the rest of them? This is what would happen. A person standing next to somebody else's family, but not inside any of their own. All the Heck chaos, all their fights and their mess next to Bob, it suddenly starts to look like being rich. And the finale hits that exact spot. A heck of a ride, May 2018, Axel gets offered a job in Denver, and he leaves. The family says goodbye. And then Frankie, in voiceover, shows us the future. Sue will marry Sean Donahue, the son of those exact perfect neighbors. Axel will build his life in Denver. Brick will become a successful writer. And notice how it's delivered. Even Brick's success, Frankie says just as matter-of-factly as Axel's job. Nobody flies off to Hollywood. Nobody hits the jackpot. Sue doesn't marry a prince. She marries the guy from the yard next door. Everything ended ordinary and fine. The kids grew up into regular adults who are loved. For a show that spent 9 years telling stories about middle people from Indiana, that's the only honest ending there is, and it hit incredibly hard. After the finale, people wrote that they felt empty, like they'd lost not a show, but actual relatives, that they immediately restarted the first episode. And that's when it hit me why. The finale didn't take away the plot. What plot? There basically wasn't one for 9 years. The finale took away the rhythm, that same kitchen, that same couch, that same mountain of laundry. The weekly habit of coming back to a house where everything is always in its place, including the mess. We're not grieving a story. We're grieving a routine. And you only grieve a routine when it's had time to become home. And that really is the whole answer. The middle was never cozy. It's cramped, it's loud, everything breaks, and there's never any money. But it's familiar. It's about the fact that failure is survivable, that love can be crooked, tired, silent, smeared across everyday life, and still be love. People don't come back to the Hex to take a break from their own life. They come back to look at their own life from the outside and to make sure it's a life you can actually live with. That thought doesn't make the show any less funny. It makes it heavier and closer at the same time. Because it's not a story about one weird family from Indiana anymore. It's a record of almost any family just filmed with love. And if, after all this, the middle also stopped feeling like a cozy blanket and started feeling like a mirror, then Axel Gang isn't done ruining your favorite sitcoms just yet.